When you hear the term baddest weapon, what comes to mind in video games? Now, first-person shooters are often great power fantasies, and what better way to have a power fantasy than to have some really awesome guns? Welcome to Chaos Gaming, everybody. Today, we are going to be looking at 25 of the baddest weapons in FPS history. Do me a favor, drop a like, make sure you're following the page. Let's get those notifications on and get our notification squad over 30%. At number 25, the arm cannon in Metroid Prime. Yep, perhaps the most versatile weapon on this entire list, and it's at the very bottom. Samus's arm cannon it's super powerful on its own, and throughout Metroid Prime, you can find tons of mods and new abilities to make it even better. I mean, you are a very well-rounded bounty hunter. You're ready for anything with this arm cannon. Now, it's one of the most iconic weapons in gaming history, and in Metroid Prime, you can appreciate even more detail because you can get up close and personal with it with countless aliens that you want to destroy. At number 24, the Spaz 12 in Modern Warfare 2. Now, if the Spaz is all the way down at 24, you can imagine how locked and loaded, you get there? Get that? Get what I did there? This list is going to be. Okay, shotguns are pretty hit or miss in video games, but when they hit hard. The Spaz 12, pump action shotgun, legacy gun if you ask me. Modern Warfare 2, ridiculous damage, range, made it one of the best guns in the entire franchise, and with a single pull of the trigger, you could drop somebody from over a dozen meters away, and if you knew how to use the animation cancel, well, you could fire this thing like a rapid fire. It's a fan favorite, and people still talk about how awesome it is, despite Modern Warfare 2 being 12 years old. Holy cow. Moving right along. Number 23. The Operator in Valorant. Now, one of the most game-changing weapons in this game is the Operator. It's a huge bolt-action sniper that can kill enemies with a single shot, regardless of armor, regardless of health. It's an extremely expensive gun, and you'll sometimes play an entire match without anybody buying it, but if you're playing against somebody who knows what they're doing, look out. I mean, an OP user who knows how to hold angles and dominate they dominate, okay? And when you hear this thing fire off and crack off, it stops you dead in your tracks. At number 22, the SBC cannon in the Serious Sam series. Now, SS is a game all about ridiculous weapons and ridiculous giant enemy hordes, so it's not going to be too much of a shocker that there's a literal cannon in most of the games. Now, the SBC cannon is a portable artillery weapon that fires giant uranium-filled cannonballs at the enemies. It tears through them, takes down tons of targets at once as if you were bowling. Now, this weapon has appeared in almost every Serious Sam game so far, and it's got to be one of the coolest guns in FPS history, definitely one of the baddest guns. At number 21, the plasma launcher in Halo Reach. Now, the plasma grenade has been in every single Halo game. But when Bungie was making Halo Reach, they asked themselves an important question. Hey, selves, what if we put the plasma grenade inside a rocket launcher? Well, the end result was a plasma launcher, which debuted in Reach as one of the new power weapons. So by holding down the fire button, you'll lock onto an enemy player, and when you let go of said button, 4 plasma grenades will shoot out and home in on that target, sticking to them and triggering a giant celebration of an explosion. It kills them instantly and possibly even kills their nearby teammates. The plasma launcher was awesome. And you know what? People don't talk about it very often. At number 20, the Redeemer in the Unreal Tournament series. Speaking of ridiculous launchers, here's one that's underappreciated. Super weapon fires nuclear rockets at enemies, dealing insane damage, making it one of the strongest guns in the entire franchise. Now, it deals over 1,000 damage upon impact. It makes it an insta-kill to anyone unfortunate enough to be in the blast radius, and the sound effects, well, they're oh so satisfying. It's a shame that Unreal Tournament has been dead for so long because there was some really, really awesome weapons in these games. At number 19 today, Titanfall 2 just broke its all-time peak record. Anyway, Titanfall, the series, the Smart Pistol, an aimbot pistol. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? The Smart Pistol is a sidearm that appeared in both Titanfall games, and it's sure to come back once we eventually get Titanfall 3. So as the name implies, this pistol will lock onto an enemy's dome, and once you pull the trigger, boom, headshot. However, it's balanced by the fact that it takes much longer to lock on to human players, so yes, you can rip through the AI grunts with ease, but once an enemy pilot joins the fray, it's not easy. I mean, let's hope this never gets added to Apex Legends. At number 18, speaking of Apex Legends, my favorite sniper rifle in history, the KRABER. It is easily the most intimidating weapon in the game. Apex has a very long time to kill, so a weapon with one-shot capabilities, well, people are going to respect it. Massive bolt-action sniper, very slow fire rate, and very limited ammo, but it will deal hefty damage to an enemy's body, and if you hit them in the head, guess what? They are down, regardless of the level of armor or helmet, doesn't matter. The KRABER is insane. If you know how to use it, it's even more insane. But if you're not good with it, do everybody a favor and don't steal it. There's nothing worse than having a teammate who grabs a KRABER and doesn't know how to use it. At number 17, the Railgun in Quake 3 Arena. One of the most insane weapons in the franchise. It's incredibly powerful, pretty tough to use in game. I mean, it's a fast-paced game, but if you have good mouse hands, well, you can do it. The Railgun was one of the few hit-scan weapons in Quake 3 Arena, and it will deal a flat 100 damage to the target, which kills them instantly if they don't have any armor. It was even nicknamed the Insta-Win back in the day because of how powerful it was and how easily you could turn the tide of a match if you knew what you were doing. Many other FPS games have tried to replicate the Quake 3 Railgun. Now, none have really done it. Not as successfully as Quake, at least. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best railgun in gaming history. Now let's move over to Counter-Strike at number 16. The Deagle, the Desert Eagle. Whenever you have a pistol that can one-shot people, it's a good time. It's appeared throughout the Counter-Strike series. It's known as a very high-risk but high-reward weapon. It's the most expensive handgun by far, and it's not easy to use. But if you hit someone in the head, you drop them with a single bullet. Even if you land a chest shot, you'll do some serious damage. Now, some Counter-Strike players even challenge themselves by only using the Deagle for the entire game. I think it's one of the best pistols in FPS history, personally. That's why I got the number 16 spot. Now we've reached the top 15. It's going to get serious. It's going to get bad. That didn't make sense. The Cerebral Bore in Turok 2. Now, despite Turok being completely irrelevant, there was a time and a place when it was one of the biggest shooters in the world, and Turok 2 is I think it's unanimously considered to be the peak of the franchise. This game had a lot of great weapons, and the Cerebral Bore was by far the baddest. It would lock onto an enemy and launch a projectile that would zip over to them, drill into their skull. You heard me right. Drill into their skull and blow up once it was in their brain. Creative, yes. Awesome, yes. Powerful, yes. Easily the most iconic weapon from the Turok series, and just looking at the gameplay makes me miss this series even more. Now let's go back to Halo, specifically Halo Reach again. At number 14, the Needle Rifle. Maybe a hot take, I don't care. I think the Needle Rifle is one of the coolest weapons in all of Halo, and it's absolutely devastating if you know what you're doing. It's basically a precision version of the Needler, and it acts as kind of a sister weapon to the DMR. Doesn't do much damage to enemy shields, but if you hit somebody's flesh, it's going to tear them up. Plus, just like the Needler, it only takes a handful of shots to cause the target to explode, killing them and possibly dealing splash damage to anybody in the vicinity. The Needle Rifle was awesome, and I think some people are seriously sleeping on it. At number 13, the Ray Gun in COD Zombies. Now, Zombies was introduced in World at War. It was a fun way to shake up the gameplay formula. Since then, it has expanded in this giant mode with tons of unique weapons, mechanics, maps, and stories, and they're even talking about it getting its own standalone games. The Ray Gun is the most popular weapon in COD Zombies. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. Looks like a plastic toy, but do not let that fool you because it can drop multiple enemies with the single pull of a trigger. It is one of the most sought-after weapons in every single COD Zombies experience, and I know people will yell at me if I do not put it on the video, so here it is at number 13. At number 12, the Fat Man in the Fallout series. Introduced in Fallout 3, the Fat Man is a ridiculous weapon that is essentially a miniature nuke launcher. It's this hefty shoulder-mounted catapult that heaves a small nuclear bomb at a target. It deals insane damage with a juicy blast radius, as you would expect. Ammo for this weapon is scarce, and there are some downsides to using it. But if we're talking about the baddest weapons in FPS history, it is hard to ignore the Fat Man. I don't know why I say it like that. I just like the way it rolls off my tongue. The Fat Man. At number 11, the Shrinker in Duke Nukem 3D. Now, despite Duke's reputation today, which is bad, Duke Nukem 3D is one of the best FPS games ever made, and part of the reason people loved it so much was the awesome weaponry. The Shrinker was a laser. Guess what? It would shrink the target down to the size of an action figure, at which point you could walk over and put your boot on them. Kill them instantly. Now, of all the weapons in Duke Nukem 3D, this is the one that people often remember most fondly. And it's something that not many other FPS games have played around with. I don't understand why there aren't more shrink rays in FPS games. It is really, really cool. It's fun. Yeah. Now we've reached the top 10. The baddest of the bad. Here we go. the AWP in the Counter-Strike series. One of the most expensive weapons in Counter-Strike. It has the damage to prove its worth with the asking price. Bolt-action sniper severely hinders the player's movement, but also gives you a shot that will almost always kill an enemy player regardless of where you shoot them or how much armor they're wearing. It's super intimidating. If someone on the other team has it, your team now has to play extra careful so you don't instantly get blown out of the round. At number 9, the Magnum in Halo 1. Here's the story. If you don't know it, everybody usually does. You start a game of Halo 1 multiplayer. You spawn in. You immediately press Y to switch to your sidearm. The Halo 1 pistol was infamously overpowered. It was arguably the best gun in the game for PvP. Now, it would drop an enemy with a handful of well-placed shots, and it made most other guns completely obsolete. It was nerfed in later Halo games, but the Halo 1 version will never be forgotten, and it deserves to be in this video. I'm pretty sure the story was the dev was cranking it up, and he forgot to crank it back down before the game went gold, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Let's stick with Halo. Number 8. The Spartan laser in Halo 3. This thing was extremely hard to use properly, but if you manage to land your shots, it's game over. Shoulder-mounted laser cannon? Come on. Takes a few seconds to charge up, and then once that beam fired, it would instantly kill anything in its path. I mean, any vehicle. It didn't matter. Spartan laser first appeared in Halo 3 and has since come back as a fan favorite in a lot of different Halo games. At number 7, the gravity gun in Half-Life 2. Now, in HL2, this weapon is known as a zero-point energy field manipulator, but most people will just call it the gravity gun. Originally designed for heavy lifting, Gordon Freeman gets a lot of creative usage with this thing. It launches items into enemies, saw blades, barrels. You can get creative. It makes the entire map your personal playground, and it adds a whole ton of creative attacks to your lineup. I think it is certainly one of the baddest FPS weapons of all time. At number 6, you can't say baddest FPS weapons without mentioning the PPSH-41 in COD World at War. One of my favorite SMGs in COD history. Very low damage, okay? But absurd fire rate. In fact, the World at War PPSH has one of the fastest fire rates in video game history. By default, it fires at 1,250 rounds per minute. If you put double tap on it, guess what? You are up to 1,600. This fire rate gives the PPSH one of the fastest times to kill in the entire game, despite that low damage. Plus, that firing sound, man. But speaking of World at War, now we're going to arrive at the top 5. The PTRS-41 in COD World at War, known as the Tank Buster. It was a high-power sniper rifle that was slow, clunky, but strong. It would almost always kill with a single shot, and if you hit somebody in the right spot, you could send one of their limbs flying across the map, literally. Few snipers in Call of Duty have made you feel quite as cool as the PTRS, although, segue, there's one more I need to mention at number 4. The Intervention, Modern Warfare 2. Now, perhaps the most iconic sniper rifle in video game history, it gave birth to countless montages, clip compilations, trick shots, you name it. Heck, the Intervention basically created an entire subculture of first-person shooters as people were constantly trying to outdo each other with this gun and prove that they were the best. It was quick, powerful, skill-based, and it had one of the best firing sounds in video game history. It is absolutely one of the baddest FPS guns in history, and if we ever do get a remastered Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, it's been done for a while, I know it, you're going to see it everywhere. At number 3, the GoldenEye Golden Gun. What's cooler than a pistol that insta-kills anyone it touches? One bullet, that's what you get at a time, meaning you have to reload it after every pull of the trigger, but it deals a flat 100 damage, instantly killing almost every enemy in the game. Plus, the Golden Gun is a one-shot kill in multiplayer mode, so if you manage to find it and you're playing split screen with buddies, they probably hate you. The Golden Gun was rad. Yeah, I use the word rad. It's one of my favorite guns in FPS history. Only 2 left, guys. At number 2, the Super Shotgun in the Doom series. Now, it's gone through a few changes throughout the years, but it's almost always one of the best guns in whatever Doom game you play. The Super Shotty in Doom's trademark double-barrel shotty can blow the demon in half with a single shot. It even went the extra mile in Doom Eternal and added a grapple hook to the end of it so you could close the game faster and set even more demons on fire before delivering the final blow, assuming you upgraded it. Everybody has their own personal favorite super shotgun from Doom. Some people like the old school sprites, some people like the newer version, but there is one Doom gun that has it beat in the awesome baddest category, and I think you already know what it was, or is. Here we go. Number 1 today on the top 25 baddest weapons in FPS games, the BFG in the Doom series. One of the most iconic weapons in video game history, as well as one of the biggest, as it's well over 3 feet long and probably weighs over 100 pounds. The BFG has been reworked a few times, but it is usually your get-out-of-jail-free card in a Doom game. It destroys most enemies with a single hit, and then a new Doom series, it can clear out entire arenas with a single shot. Now, don't think that makes the game easy though, as the ammo is super scarce and you need to save those shots for when you desperately need them. The big freaking gun is definitely the baddest weapon in FPS history if you ask me, and I don't think anybody's probably going to argue with this one. Let me know one gun that was deserving of being in this top 25 list that I absolutely missed. I hope you guys have a great day. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, and you've been making it all the way to the end of these videos, I truly, truly appreciate you. I'll see you soon.